All right, in this video we want to discuss how to set up your paper for your annotated bibliographies assignment. This is a research assignment. It is aligned with MLA formatting, so any questions you have, you can always come to Purdue OWL online and find information. So here's the basics: your bibliography, which is your sources. For each source, you were to summarize, assess, and reflect. And when you did this, you completed a template that looked just like this. Just like this. That was a blank piece of paper. And you completed your summary, assessment, and then your reflection, and you found the source. So if you have any questions, again, you can go to the Purdue OWL online and find out about MLA formatting. So we know that when we MLA format, we always need to start with our heading, which is our name, our teacher's name that we are enrolled in, and then the date in which the assignment is due. Spelled out the dates, I spelled names, I capitalized them. The second thing I need to do is always double check that my font is in Times New Roman, size 12. And then I need to do page setup and confirm that I have 1-inch margins. Now, I skipped a step. I should have shown you already. So I had defaulted already to double space, but yours will look something like this. When you're done with your heading, you want to come to this guy right here, and for line spacing, select double. When I've finished that, I want to hit enter and the center alignment button, and I want to type in the title of the project, which is 1930s Annotated Bibliography. And then you were each given a specific topic within the project. So let's say mine was women. I'm going to title it there. So then I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to go back to my left-hand alignment and then move forward. So you should have filled out 2 organizers that look like this. And in this section right here where you put your source, you should have composed your bibliography component, basically telling us who wrote it, where it was published, different things like that. So when I take my handwritten paper, I'm going to set it down, and I am going to retype it. Now notice that the punctuation really does matter. So for example, when I'm in here and I want to look at how to cite an online source, so if I'm looking, I'm going to cite an entire website. Notice that this is in italics, the title of the website. Notice that right here, it goes last name, then first name. So all of this stuff is important. If it's in italics, you need to put it in italics. If it's in quotation marks, but you should have seen exactly what it looked like when we did our citing sources station activity. So I know that my first source was titled John Steinbeck. The period goes inside. It came from a publication called Authors and Artists for Young Adults. And I put a period. It was volume 12. It was published in Detroit. It is from the Gale Virtual Library, which is the online database source. Published in 1994. It was found in Biography in Context on a website, and I accessed it on October 9th, 2017, and I put my period. So next, what needs to happen is you need something called a hanging indentation. So you are going to take your cursor and put it right in front right here, and you'll see this little thing that it says increase indent. Notice that when I hit the increase indent, it did something. It moved both the first line and the second line over. We only want the first line. So in this case, you might hit the backspace button, then hit the enter button. And when you do that, you should be able to hit this guy up here, and it should space you in. So again, you don't want it to look like both of these lines moved over, something like that. So I need to make sure I go backspace, enter, and increase indent. Then what's going to happen is underneath my source, I am now going to type out my summary. And then I am going to type out my assessment of the source, where I'm explaining why this source is credible and reliable. And then I'm going to move straight into my reflection of how this source is different from others and what information I took away from the source. Notice I use the word I. You want to avoid the first person. And you want to be clear and concise. So once I have typed out, so again, my summary, my assessment, and my reflection, what I wrote in all three of these boxes, I'm going to type out right under this source. Notice I don't create new paragraphs, so I don't go assessment and then reflection. I don't space them out like that. I don't hit enter and make it look funky like that. My entire annotation, which is my summary, assessment, and reflection, all is lined up right here. It should be lined up with the hanging indentation. When I'm ready to start my next source, my second source, I'll hit enter. Notice the cursor's over here, but we want it out here. So we have this little lip. It's like a sticky note that you would put hanging outside a book to show that we're starting a new one. It's the same concept. So I'm going to push my cursor as it says decrease indent. And I'm going to come back over here, and now I'm going to type out my website that I found. So again, the first one was my database source. So notice again in this one how I am punctuating. So this right here is supposed to be underlined, so I'm going to come up here and underline it. It's from A&E Network Television. There was no date of publication. It was a web source, and I found it on the 7th of October in 2017. So notice again, my second line is lined up right here, but I need it to be a hanging indent so that I have this lip that hangs out. So if I hit the increase indent, notice it moves the whole thing over. So this is again where we go backspace, enter, increase indent, and now you have yours lined up. So I'll repeat this process. I will write my summary, assessment, and reflection. And it should fall all in alignment. So if I were doing this correctly, you will see that you will have a activity example. So if I come in here, find my example for you, your example should look something like this. So student name, teacher name, class period, date, and then you have your 1930s, and then notice here's my summary, assessment and reflection. So this source, I have my hanging indentation all the way down, okay? So again, biggest idea is formatting. So 1-inch margins, your heading all set up, your sources typed out. So if something needs to be italicized, you italicize it. Again, that's where you find information from Purdue OWL on how to go about that. And then the biggest thing is your summary, assessment, and reflection. The information you wrote down right here all goes in one chunky paragraph. So no new paragraphs, no spacing, just one chunked paragraph with the hanging indentation. So if it's not lined up perfectly like this, you need to fix it. So again, if you have questions, you can ask your teacher, but that's the basic annotated bibliography formatting.